All right, guys, so I am going to put together a tips and tricks kind of troubleshooting video for Noteflight, just based on some of the questions that I got from you guys yesterday. So here I have the work in progress arrangement that I'm creating. I've got 4 of my measures done so far, and I'm just going to kind of destroy it as I show you some of the things that have come up in yours that hopefully this will help kind of fix through some things. If I don't get your question answered in this video, please let me know what else you need, and I'm happy to make more. So first things first, I have a couple people, this is actually probably my most common question, who maybe they have a part that looks like this, and they want to get rid of that rest, and no matter what you try, you can't delete it. So if you're in front of it and you hit backspace, it messes with the wrong note. If you're behind it and you hit backspace or delete, it messes with the other note. There's no way to delete that rest and then shift everything back, because that is time. That is rhythmically correct. So the only thing you can do to fix that is add new notes. So if that's the case, let's say you have that rest there and you wish that that D was there and everything else was shifted back a position, you are going to have to physically go in and edit every single note from that point on in order to make that work. And unfortunately, that is not a great answer, but that is kind of the result of working with a free software program. So I apologize that I don't have better news for you on that front. Feel free, if it's easier, just to delete the whole measure and start that measure from scratch so that you don't have that rest thrown into the middle. That might not be a terrible idea, as disappointing as that sounds. Second thing I saw a lot was, how do I continue a beam? For example, mine right here are beamed in groups of 2 1/8 notes, but what if you want a group of 4? So let's say I just have, let me get some 1/8 notes going here. Where did my duration? There it is. So let's say I've got 4 1/8 notes, and I really want those to be grouped together in a group of 4. I can do the exact same thing, but when I want to continue that beam in the rhythm menu, and again, if that's closed, you just open it up in here. In the rhythm menu, there's this little button right here that says continue beam. If you hit that, when you hit your next note, and you hit that continue beam, it'll beam it together. You can beam as many things as you want. As long as they're all in that same measure together, it'll beam all of them. So just hitting that continue beam button anytime you want to connect it to the previous note, as long as you are working with either 1/8 notes or 16th notes. Can't do that with quarter notes and half notes because they have no beam, so there would be no need to do that. Third question was adding triplets. If you have a song that involves triplets, let's say you need, let's do something in treble clef. So we're going to come up here, we're going to do some 1/8 note triplets. So I've got my 1/8 note. Now before you hit the next note, in that same rhythm menu that we were just in, go all the way over to this bracket with the 3. You hit that and it'll turn it into 1/8 notes that are half the value of what you just entered. So this would give you 16th note triplets. If you want 1/8 note triplets, you're going to slow this down and hit your triplet button again. Sorry, slow that down to a quarter note, hit your triplet button, and there's your 1/8 note triplets. So using a combination of the note duration and the triplet tool here will get you those triplets. Another question that I got was, how do I change my clef? Let's say you're writing a song and both of these clefs should be treble clef. Click the first note of whatever measure you're in that you want to change, and in that measure option where we found our time signature and our key signature, you're going to hit treble clef and it'll change that for you. Now notice it's only going to change that note. So if you want to change more time, select all of it. I did that just by doing, here, let me show you again. So if I click this first measure and I hold shift and click the last measure, now you can do that same treble clef and it'll move everything for you. Same thing if for some reason I want my bass clef on top and my treble clef on the bottom, I've highlighted that measure, hit the treble clef button, and everything moves. Now again, that's only going to do the selected region, so if you want a larger region, you're going to have to select the whole thing and change your clef. All right, now another question was about changing time signature. If you have a song that changes time signature every measure, you're going to do that the same way we just did your clef. So let's say your first measure is 4/4, but your second measure is 3/4. Highlight that second measure. In the measure function, find time signature, and go ahead and change that to whatever your second measure is. That changes it just for that selected region. Then let's say maybe the next measure you need to change it again, and it's going to be something really out there like 7/4. That's going to change that there. So you can do that anywhere you want as long as you have the region selected before you do it. Lastly, there was a request for how do I make two voices in one part? And what that really means is not like soprano voice, alto voice. It means how do I have a long note with rests above it? So what you're going to do for that is you are going to go into the voice menu. This is something that most of you will not have to use, but just in case, I'm going to go ahead and hit that voice menu so it adds up here. Now you'll see I have two options, an upper voice and a lower voice option. Let's say in this crazy 7/4 measure that I want to have a lower voice, which is holding a low note. And then I want the upper voice to be doing quarter notes. So now you can see I've got two sets of music happening in the same measure. A lower voice with its whole note and a bunch of rests, and an upper voice with its quarter note and a bunch of rests. The way I did that, if I back out of here and show you one more time, is from this low note that I have right here, if I hit the lower voice button, it's going to force everything else to the top so that if I enter another note, these are all happening simultaneously above that lower note. So that's how you're going to add two different voices. I know I went through those questions kind of quickly, but feel free to pause, rewatch, re-listen to any of those. I'm hoping that I got all of the questions answered that you guys sent to me. If there's anything else that you are struggling with, or if you need me to walk through that, join me for office hours, and I'm happy to walk you through it. Sometimes that can be easier to do on a screen share. So I hope that helped for those who had questions. Let me know if you need more help, and I will talk to you later.